Morning all. So the mighty advisor and the wisdom of the woods. We continue, and I've been talking a lot this week about as I'm doing countdown for my book, which is going to be coming out in the following weeks. Really, I'm talking about the emerging future with connecting the dots. We all want to connect the dots, and for thousands of years, man has tried to predict the future, and they've done this by various ways. They've gone to see the shaman who lives at the top of the hill. They've gone to see the shaman who can throw the bones. They've tried to connect the dots and to see the future, and we'll talk a little bit more about dot to dot and another one. But the emerging future. So what is the emerging future, and why is it the beginning of our story of the mighty advisor? Well, the emerging future is that in any biological system or piece of biology, when you have multiple moving parts, so many things happening, things emerge. It's better to use the word emerge than evolve, really. But things emerge. So whether you have a cafe around the corner which has got 4 people waiting on tables, a kitchen, a building, customers, there are many moving parts. The same applies if you have a business. There are many moving parts. If you have a family, there's many moving parts. So nothing is static, everything is dynamic. It moves whether you like it or not, and this is the emergence. And in biological systems, if you leave something and there are multiple moving parts, something new will happen. And that's the future, really. The future is made up of multiple moving parts, and whether you like it or not, things are emerging. And there are certain, in biological systems, there are certain things that affect how these multiple moving parts work. It's bringing in new moving parts, obviously changes the whole dynamic. Putting in things that speed things up, catalysts affect the way that things emerge. And it really talks to the fact that to speak about change is rather ridiculous in many ways, because change is not something that goes from A to B, because we're in a backdrop, and also we're in the dark, which is also amusing. We're in a backdrop of moving parts. You can't say that this is static and therefore it moves to B, which is a change. It's constantly emerging, and the connecting of the dots really is the picture that I like to use of the future. You'll see it in many of the things that I'm posting, this scattering dots, and the dots are the multiple moving parts, and that will be the multiple moving parts of a cell where it's evolving, of the inside of an animal, of an organization, of a society, of a family. And this is the dots that move around and are constantly in relationship to each other and constantly emerging. And it's the emergence which is interesting to the mighty advisor, and we'll be going through the story of the mighty advisor as we go through these audio missives. And the story of the mighty advisor is that there, just as if you like, a prologue, is that there are certain people that turn up in our lives who alter the emerging future. They are the people who, added to the dots, create a new pattern, and that pattern can be incredibly subtle. The changes can be enormously subtle, to the point you can't see that they're doing it, or they can be enormously overt. But the thing about overt things is overt things get stopped. So if you try and do something in a very big way, there's normally a principle in an emerging system that stops that happening. Whereas if you are much more subtle in the way that you address the emerging future, then things really can happen. And you see this in all sorts of ways. You see it in biology when something which is not really relevant starts to change or become different. It changes the whole physiology. And in politics, you see where somebody somewhere starts to pull a different sort of string and something changes, but it's by and large incredibly subtle. And what we'll be talking about in the Mighty Advisor as we go through it is the power of subtle behavior, the power of subtle leadership, nudging, these sorts of things that the Mighty Advisors over the thousands of years that the Mighty Advisors have survived and existed and been with us, have been able to do. And as the prologue to the prologue, the Mighty Advisor is all about helping understand and catalysing the emerging future in a way that is subtle, and that is what is incredibly intriguing. So lovely to start you with the prologue to the prologue. We'll be going through more of this as we go along. Connecting the dots is really interesting, because connecting the dots is the dots of the outside universe, the dots of what's going on in the head. It's sort of joining it all together. And in the dot to dot books, or in the sacred, I think it's called kolams, which are dots that something appears. It is the individual dots that, if something joins one thing to another, whoa, something changes, then something appears. And that's what the future is, and that's what vision is as a leader. And this is what the dot to dot stuff is. So fascinating to talk to you. We'll keep on doing. The Wisdom of the Woods continues, and so does the Mighty Advisor. Keep going. Speak to you soon. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.